name is Chris O'Neill from Sew the Distance. Welcome back to day 24 of Christmas in July 2025. I'm so glad you're here. And today we're going to talk about panels. I know many of you have been waiting for this, and this is something I had to really work out in my mind because there are so many different ideas, and I didn't want to give you the same old ideas. We're going to first talk about panels a little bit. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think we all know and see, especially following up from yesterday's video on inspiration, because on Pinterest there's a million ideas for panels. But I'm also going to show you two ideas that I have never seen before, although they probably have been done because everybody's done everything, right? So I'm sure that there are videos and information out there on doing these, but it's something I thought I came up with. Let's first talk about panels, and I have a bunch. This is probably, I don't know, half of my stash of panels, and they're very different. So you have some that look like this, and actually I made a video about this, shameless plug here. I made a tote bag, a quilted tote bag. I have the video out there. I will post a link to it in the comments, in the first comment. And I love this one. I love this design. But there's also ones that look like this that would make really cute pillows. And you can see some that you can just quilt, actually put quilts together with them. I think I have a bigger one of this. I took a picture of this on my design wall. It's wrinkled. Don't judge me. Look at this one. Isn't this cute? This would make a great pillow too, or maybe one of the projects I'm going to show today. This one doesn't have any borders, so you get a little bit more freedom with it. You have panels that are stockings or things that you can make out of it. Now, just a tip on these, you don't have to make stockings. You can fussy cut or focus cut motifs out of these. Keep that in mind too. See, there's all kinds of panels out there in the world. And like I said, there's a bunch of different designs. There's attic windows, there's regular windows, there's the one block wonder that everybody loves, which I think is just a remake of Stack and Whack, if you remember that. So everything old, is new again. So let's talk about today's projects. So one I already recorded, and I'll show it here in a minute. But I used these, what are they, canvases that you can get at thrift stores. I actually got this one and the other one that I used in the project at the thrift store the other day when I went with my mom. They're really nice because they're nice and sturdy. Now this one was like a drip paint. It was made by somebody with the initials DK. It's a beautiful frame, but I mean, I don't know if I'd want this in my house. Obviously DK didn't want it in their house either. But we can cover this. And I did that with the other frame, and I made this with a fabric panel. So the panel I used is right here. Isn't it cute? I had a bunch of these. I still have a bunch of these because I bought a bunch when they were on clearance. I think I bought like 6 or 7 of them. I think it's so stinking cute. And to make this, all I did was cover it first with batting and used a staple gun to wrap it around. Now, I did the corners first. You'll see when I actually do the fabric that I pull around the sides first. That worked a little bit better. So if you're going to do this, keep that in mind. And I wrapped and stapled the batting, and then I did the fabric too, as you can see. And of course, this is sped up, this video. I don't work this fast. I wish I did. Now, the thing to keep in mind with this is you want a fabric panel that doesn't necessarily have writing on it or anything like that, especially if it's your first time doing it, because you want to make sure the text is straight. I used an all over pattern, of course. It really didn't matter too much if it wasn't exactly straight. So just a tip with that. You also want to make sure, of course, that the panel you're using is big enough to go around it. And these scraps from this panel I can use on other things too. Once I wrapped it around, I of course trimmed away the excess. And we ended up with this adorable wall hanging or shelf sitter. It'll sit on a shelf too. Isn't it cute? You could even change this out for the holidays. Just take your staples out, keep them, put them back in. You could also give these as gifts and not use maybe Christmas designs. You could use other things. My back side here of this is pretty ratty, so I probably would be more careful, maybe fold under the edges if I were to do that, but it's just a thought, just an idea. Now I still have another one. I got to figure out a panel to use for that. Maybe I'll do something for the fall. Wouldn't that be pretty? And just sitting on a shelf or hanging on the wall and just changing it out. Anyway, I thought that was a lot of fun. I've never seen that. I'm sure other people have done that or something similar, but I thought it was unique and I was trying to think of unique things. Okay, so the next project is this tote bag. I have stuff in it right now, but this tote bag where I put a panel on it. I'm going to show you how to do that now. And I'm going to show you that in real time. Okay, so I bought these bags. I bought a set of 3 on Amazon. You could thrift these too and cover up a motif that's already on it, or if you have some. Now to get this on here, I picked out a design I wanted, and it was, I forget the name of this line. I have a feeling the one I'm going to use though is the same company. I love these. I think these are so pretty and make the cutest totes. Now you're probably wondering how I got this on here, how I stitched it. I will explain all of that in a moment. So the first thing you're going to do is pick your motif, whatever you want on it. You want to make sure, of course, it fits. So I'm between this panel here. I thought that would be really cute for Christmas. And then I also love this one. I thought one of these motifs would be really, really cute on there, especially this one. All right, I think I'm going to stick with this because this was my first instinct. So what I'm going to do is rough cut around this. Now, because I want to save as much of the other motifs as possible, I'm going to make sure that I have enough border around each of them, but I'm not going to make it so tight that I can't get a nice border around this too. So I'm just going to take scissors and I'm going to rough cut. We're going to square this up, so don't get too stressed about that. So next, I'm going to square this up. Now with panels, you sometimes have to stretch them. You have to kind of figure out what's straight, what's not, and use a ruler. And I like to use words on these bags because I can line up the words on my ruler. And there's all kinds of glare, isn't there? I'm sorry about that. Yeah, it's a little bit better. All right, at least in this area. So I'm looking at the lines on here and I'm making sure they're square or straight with the words on here. And I'm making sure it's straight everywhere. Next, I'm looking at how much space I have over here. So this is 1.5 inches, a little less. For the motif, this side's almost 1.5 inches. We're going to slide it over a little like this. Make sure everything is lined up. I'm going to look at the top and the bottom. I don't have a lot of space down here, so I'm going to adjust this down here. Yeah, that looks good. I think there's 1/2 inch on each side. All right, so now I'm going to cut this side and this side. And now I'm going to turn this whole thing. And I'm going to line this up and make sure again that I have the same distance. And this is what kind of takes some time. Okay, so now I do have to take some more off this side, I think, because I don't think I'm going to have enough over here. It's always a balancing act. Make sure everything is straight and cut. Like I said, I'm going to have to get a little bit more off this side. Not a big deal. Now you also want to keep in mind seam allowance, which will make sense in a moment. Okay, we're going to cut that off. Oh, that looks pretty good. So now look at it and see if it looks square, if it looks right. And you know what? I still think I need more off this side. Maybe it's because of this wonderful. So I'm going to take a smidge more off. There we go. That looks good to me. So next, you're going to cut a piece of interfacing. And again, I use, it's the Pellon, is it 101? I'll put it up here, what I use. Next, I'm going to lay my panel that I just cut on the glue side or the bumpy side of my interfacing. This will make sense, I promise. The glue side, you want it on that. That's important. Okay, and I'm going to just line this up and cut it out the same size. I'm going to put some pins in this to keep it together. And that's just to keep it from shifting. Next, I'm going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around this, completely around this. Okay, so this is all sewn around the outside. I'm going to take the pins out. And this is the only time you don't set your seams. because of course this will melt, but you don't want to do that. All right, you're gonna take and cut your corners, just trim them off. Don't go too close on this just because, well, you'll see that this interfacing can tear very easily. All right, now we're gonna just cut the back and we're gonna separate just like that because we don't want to cut our panel. And I'm just gonna cut a slit and that's gonna be my turning hole, and I'm just doing that right in the middle. This is actually how I learned to applique. It's an older technique, and I know a lot of people do it too still, but it is a really great way to make sure that you have all your edges. And I'm just pushing out those points. I'm not pushing too hard. Again, this will tear so easily, but I am pushing them out some very carefully. I also use this technique for putting on labels, if you've seen that in my labeling video. All right, once you get everything poked out, all the sides and everything, it looks so cute. You can use this for anything. You could put it on a sweatshirt if you want to do. You could put it, I don't know, on a pillow, anything you want. But we're going to do the tote bag. All right, now the bumpy side's out. Remember, that's how we did this. So all we're going to do is take our tote bag, in this case, and I pressed this pretty well. Not great, but pretty well. And I'm going to lay this on here and just, I don't know, eyeball it. Might put it up a little bit because I'm thinking you could even box the corners of these too if you wanted to. I don't know, I think I like that. What do we think? Maybe over a little bit. You can use a ruler. I'm just eyeballing it because I'm just having fun. All right, now I'm going to press this because that bumpy backing now is facing the thing I'm going to iron it onto, and it will adhere it. Okay. Now you're thinking, Chris, that's never going to stay on. It's going to lift up. So what I did was I stitched around the outside, and to do that, I had to open up the side seam of the bag and put it through my machine. Now, if you have a free arm, that you could use that and feed this through so you can stitch around it, that's great. If you want to do this by hand, you can do that. You could do a decorative stitch, you could do all kinds of things. Let me show you the bag, the inside of the other bag. So you can see this is the factory finish, and then this is mine. All I did was stitch it and then I zigzagged it, and that is going to hold up well enough for what I'm using this for. It's just a simple tote bag. So it's just an idea. Again, there are many options for getting this down. You do want to do something to hold this down because it will lift off with this method. I hope you enjoy these projects. There's so many wonderful things you can do with panels. They're so much fun. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope you take some time to sew, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.